Okay, so thank you for joining. This is the Black Hippie Lounge. I'm your host, Chanel, and today we have a guest, Nicole Hosang. And so I am going to, well, before I ask her, her agent reached out to me, which was pretty cool. And so I'm very interested to talk to her today and get to know a little bit more about her. So we'll start off with Nicole. Can you tell listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much, Nicole, for having me on. And I'd love to introduce myself. I start usually by sharing that I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also, as of the last 3 years, a new mom.
Nice.
I have 2 boys.
Congrats.
Yeah, pretty exciting. So that's the new experience that I'm navigating right now. 2 boys under the age of 4. I'm a wife, and in addition to my business, I'm also a former athlete, so kind of embracing the fitness world as an experienced athlete and someone who is well versed, an expert in the fitness realm. And right now I'm just really curious about the creative space. Everyone's on their social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook and podcasts, and I want to really be able to pursue that more seriously. Okay. So I'd like to say that I'm also a content creator now.
Yeah. Nice. And so you're from Canada, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Nice.
Toronto, Ontario.
Okay. Do you like it there?
I do. I've traveled within Canada while competing in physique athlete sort of competitions and that, but I'd love to be able to travel a little bit more outside of Canada. So hopefully some of my newer projects will take me some other locations. But I really do enjoy it here. I'm ready to look around.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So you are a professional intuition coach. Can you explain to listeners what that means?
Absolutely. Yeah. So intuition began as the spin-off of what was personal training sessions that were hosted virtually, where I would do a lot of discussion piece with my clients, and we would speak into a lot of pain points or areas that required some room for improvement, but more importantly, some intuitive feedback. And I think that the reaction as to what I was saying felt very close to home for a lot of the individuals that I was coaching. It felt like I was hitting the nail on the head when it came to the feedback and the support that I was offering. And so what happened is we discovered that these coaching calls were very, very effective even without the personal training piece, without the exercise component. And so it turned into a very medium-like experience where each person was getting some deep insight in their personal experience and some support as to how to overcome and get out of a challenging situation. And I coined the term intuition because it really did feel like it was coming from my intuitive guide. I felt like I was just listening to my heart and navigating a very clairvoyant space, if you will. Okay. And so, so the program's called Intuition. It's a lot of energy work. It's a lot of learning how to protect your energy, navigate your empathic ability. A lot of the entrepreneurs I typically work with and creatives are very empathic by nature. Okay. And they've had to navigate that space on their own for most of their life. And so just learning how to feel empowered when you're picking up other people's energy, identifying what energy is yours, how to stay grounded, how to stay connected to source, and recognize our own power, our own ability to connect to our own intuition has been what everything's been directing towards. And everyone's really enjoying that experience, and the power is very empowering.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's really cool. On my podcast, I talk a lot about spirituality and just like, like you said, your energy and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool that you help people, tap into that. So The next question is, so your passion is to help people reach their goals. During COVID, you grew your business online. How was that process and what did you learn from it?
Oh, yes, that was an amazing self-discovery journey, I have to say. In the beginning, the news about the gyms being closed was very surprising for a lot of people, in that we kind of had to pick up really quickly and find new ways to embrace our skills and offer our services to the people that we connected to for so long. For me, it was a lot of years of connection with these individuals, investing in my coaching program. So I really had to think quick, and that supported me with getting very creative. So I learned a lot about what it means to nurture relationships. A big part of what I was offering my clientele as a coach was support, and it was one-on-one, and some of it was small group, but I kept it professional. I kept it 1,000% professional, because that's the space that I felt it was my strong suit. And the gym closures and switching, adapting to the environment that was virtual, 100% virtual, meant that I had to really look into who I am as a person and how I want to connect to my community, create lasting relationships where I could, I don't want to say blur the lines, but kind of stretch my connection style beyond just here's the session and have a good weekend type of exchange. I wanted it to be a stronger connection, and so I had to recognize within myself, what does the relationship mean to me? Do I need to redefine relationships? Do I need to redefine structures in business? Another lesson that I learned was how to ask for help. Outsourcing, huge. Especially as a woman, who's confident in her independence, recognizing the value of a team. And in athleticism, teamwork is a big part of success, especially if you're playing team sports. Right. But when it came to business, it really required that I took those skills and translated. They're transferable skills that I was not recognizing when everything was open. So as soon as there were closures, I had to outsource. I had to realize what were my strengths and be able to ask other people who had strengths that were not my own if they could help, if they wanted to be able to pursue their own personal strengths, and we could support each other. Right. And that was a huge discovery for me, a huge learning in the space of business. And it really helped me scale. It helped me have a broader reach and be more successful in the virtual space. Yeah, good question.
Yeah, so definitely just, helping you tap into your creative side and, thinking out the box, which is, I feel like a lot of people had to do that, during that time. So what are the benefits to working with a coach like yourself?
Yeah, I think that it's very, very supportive to get an objective view. I personally have had coaches my entire life, and it's such an honor to be able to offer that. The support that I was able to receive through my career, to be in a position to offer that to others is so rewarding. I know that my coaches have always been on my team. They're on my side. They want the best for me, and they could see the goal when I would describe it. They were almost the only ones who could see my goal with clarity, in addition to me, right? And I think when you have a coach, you have what is a sort of an undying support system, someone you can go to who's got the type of confidence that maybe you'll need whenever you're feeling like you're going through your ebbs and flows, someone who you can look to, who's going to be positive and supportive and insightful. And so I can say that with confidence, I've been able to offer that to my clientele, to my community. Oftentimes it's as simple as asking for an objective opinion, but more than objective, more than being objective, it's an expert opinion, really. And I think, when you're pursuing a space that is new and unfamiliar, we do want that sense of security to give us the confidence to keep going. Right. If consistency is a challenge for us and we want to be better there, we would like to improve, then it requires asking for those insights from people who have been through it before us, right? To be able to get the reassurance or, discover the hope that's on the other side, the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will.
Right.
And having a coach is basically going to give you whatever it is that you cannot offer yourself. Just by nature of being your own entity, you'll need someone who is outside of you as a support system. And by having the strength in your spirituality, you recognize that in addition to that source of energy, of support and positivity, that there are physical bodies here in this earthly space that can do the same thing, that can be a vessel, right? And I think that's what coaching is. It's very healing.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tons of benefits.
No, I love that. Especially like how you said, having a coach, it's someone outside of you who can, see the strengths that you might not be able to see in yourself, and but they also can see the, the dream that you have for yourself and to help you get there. So I think that's pretty cool, like you said, to have that extra person to kind of help you push and kind of stay focused too for those times when we, might lose focus or get down a little bit. So you mentioned programs. So what programs do you offer? I know when I looked on your site, I was reading about the intuition program. So if you could explain a little bit about the programs to listeners.
Absolutely, yeah. So the intuition program is in essence an opportunity to discover your authentic style of expression. And a big challenge that a lot of entrepreneurs in creative space is recognizing their strengths and then not really knowing how to share or deliver that with their audience. It's been integral to my own ability to embrace branding, for example, showing up on social media. A lot of people talk about the technicalities. What colors are you going to choose? What kind of language are you going to use? And once you discover who you really are on an intuitive level, that's very easy. It's actually very second nature, and it's very authentic. It's true to you, and it's not so technical anymore. We kind of eliminate the difficulty, but it does support entrepreneurs and creatives, and I would say even people who are empathic. So like even someone who's very in tune with their body, like former athletes or anyone who's very self-aware. It helps this group, this community of very spiritual people to recognize the intuitive guide that is helping them bridge the gap between where they are now and where they would like to be with their life goals, and helping them find the spiritual component that really does take away the technical blocks. A lot of people feel stuck and they feel like they don't know what to do next, or they think that they're meant for something bigger than what they're doing. When you believe in your heart, there's something huge, like I could be doing so much more. I don't know I'm like, what am I doing here? And it's almost like we're being called. You're called to discover your greatness. Like you've got these beautiful skills, and maybe you just haven't been discovered yet. It's that feeling of like, if I could just put myself out there more. And so a big factor is being able to feel confident in your own authentic style of delivery. And there's some soul searching questions in there. It's like, what are your core values? Identifying what words would describe the highest version of yourself and how you want to show up. So I kind of condensed that process into 12 weeks. And I gave it the name Intuition to kind of highlight the fact that it's your own inner guide that's going to be supporting you through this process. But as somebody who's highly intuitive myself, I can operate as a medium for you. And so what we do is we do coaching calls each week based on the need of the individual, so that you get a chance to really get grounded. It's even meditative sometimes, especially if you start at the beginning of the day, to get really focused on your mission work, on your calling, and identify what universe has been trying to get through to you. Maybe universe is trying to send you signals. There's all these like symbolic messages coming through, whether it's numerology or like, repeated symbols, repeated signs, messages, animals, whatever, nature has a beautiful way of delivering messages. And sometimes we're just too in the routine of the day to see it. And so these coaching calls support any of the intuition community to surrender to the message that the universe is trying to deliver. And I operate as a medium, as a vessel, as an objective view. The coaching experience supports you with being able to see your highest version of yourself. And over the course of 12 weeks, you really do get some pen to paper exercises as well to help navigate sort of the journaling component to realize these truths. And it just gets everyone really in tune with the universe and in alignment with what is their mission work. You know, a lot of people feel lost because they're just not clear on their mission. And as soon as you get that, it's so gold. It's like it has you feeling inspiration. You get so much excitement when you wake up in the morning. You have purpose, and you feel ready to embrace the day, and you're open to whatever comes your way. You know, there's no negativity anymore because you understand that everything that you experience is in alignment with your big picture mission, and that just makes us more open to receiving. You know, and if you miss your bus, it's like it's a part of the plan. That's fine. I'll catch the next one. It's okay. You know, there's that inner joy that comes with it. So I call it intuition. 12-week program, one-on-one coaching, you get pen to paper exercises, and it really just supports you with being so grounded in your spirit and your purpose that your quality of life just skyrockets. You just feel good, and you wake up with positive vibes, and you have so much good energy that you can share it, that you can spread it with anyone who crosses your path. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like that's what definitely on this podcast, I talk a lot about spirituality, and just like I talk about angel numbers and just different symbols that, the universe does send. So I feel like, I'm definitely interested. And hopefully some other listeners will, look into that too. I think that's really cool, especially because like you said, I know for me personally, when I see these numbers and I've seen like white butterflies and stuff like that, and you kind of go to Google and try to figure it out, but you're still not really sure what does this mean. And then the more and more you see it, you're like, okay, I see it, but I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. So I think that's really cool that you serve as that type of resource to help people figure out, the first step of them recognizing the things, but what does it mean? What is the universe trying to tell you? So I think that's really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm happy to hear that that resonates with you.
Yeah. All right. So what's your advice to someone who has a fitness goal to lose weight, but they are not consistent with their routine?
Consistency is one of the big obstacles that I think anyone really faces regarding trying to level up. So wherever we are, and when we look to that higher level of ourselves, what we're trying to achieve, it's about getting improved organization. And a big part of being organized is being consistent. People are going to look to want to rely on you, right? As a coach, even if I have to show up at a certain time every day of the week, my community is expecting me to be there, and if I can't maintain that consistency, they're going to look at that as unreliable. It's going to be something that it's going to affect their experience, and they're looking for a positive experience here. So on a personal level, I believe that consistency starts with showing up for ourselves, and if we have to look at our expectation for other people to show up for us, we got to first set the tone and show up for ourselves. And that doesn't have to be with exercise. The example you mentioned, it's about lifestyle. It's about health. So there's a plethora of places that we can show up, and it might just mean using one of them as a symbolic sort of communication to the universe that says, I'm ready, and if you just choose that one thing and show up like, that's your mission work, show up for that one thing every single day, that's symbolic to the universe that says, you know what, I'm ready. And slowly but surely you'll start to add more things to that roster. So, for some people it's a skincare routine maybe, like I know there have been some times in my youth where I had the makeup on the full face and then it was nighttime, just like that, it turned nighttime. And I was like, I'm going to wash my face. I'm going to wash my face. I'm going to do it. And then, I put my head down. It's okay. I'm going to get up in 5 minutes. I'm going to do it. And then before you know it, you're out. And I couldn't even glance at the clock. It's like 2 a.m. I'm like, don't worry. It's okay. I'm going to do it. I'm going to before the sun rises. And then just like that, my face did not get the attention, the skincare, the makeup, the cleansing, the exfoliation. It's a process, right? And if we do not designate the time for that process, we're gonna miss, we're gonna miss that window, right? And time is one of the things we don't get back. It doesn't come back around. We can make more money, we can make more of a lot of forms of energy, right? Yeah. But time is that commodity that it's gonna go by, and then that's the last of that bit of time. There's gonna be another window of time. So in order to show up consistently, we got to get better with our time management. We got to recognize the value. Like, what does it mean to you? That time, for some people, it's their kids. Like, oh, they're only going to be one once. Right. They're only going to be two once. Right. So you got to recognize this is important, and you want to make sure that you show up for whatever that segment of time is. So I give a couple examples there with the skincare and the kids, but really, it's not exercise and health and diet and nutrition. These are all examples of where consistency is beneficial. Everything's really important. We just got to pick that one thing that we can show up for ourselves as an example to the universe and say, I'm ready. And then start to add exercise, nutrition. Maybe it's just drink some water. Yeah. Maybe it's just write down the workout, and maybe it's just get up and go for that walk every day. But there's got to be one thing that's symbolic, that maybe is a smaller step, and do that consistently. Show up for yourself, and that'll be the ripple effect that gets the ball moving. And as a coach, it's so important to ask for help, even if it's that little step that you need help with. As I learned in my business space, go on and ask for help, and that coach is going to set up a call with you consistently, and then that way you can be like, okay, let me maybe align it with my walk every day. Maybe I can align it with my water drinking every day, so that you got somebody who's going to support you. They got accountability.
I was going to say, someone accountable. Yeah.
So as long as you have something that you can rely on, because, accountability partners, is you don't want to get somebody who potentially will have you fluctuating with your commitment to yourself, right? You got to be careful with that. Pick people who are going to level you up. And that's why a coach is, the next phase up from an accountability partner, because potentially you've invested in something that's going to be reliable, you can count on, right? And so here you are with an opportunity to ask for help, to guarantee the consistency of that important, symbolic representation. That's the first step. And after that, you just tack on nutrition, tack on exercise, and just like that, you're winning. You're better than you were before you had the coach. Right.
No, that makes sense. So just to stay on topic of the fitness, so what made you get into fitness, and what has your fitness journey been like and taught you?
I think fitness has been a big part of my entire life. I think in my childhood, I was presented with so many avenues to pursue movement and self-awareness. My dad would take me out to the park as a kid to play with my siblings, my cousins, my aunts and uncles were all close in age. So my mom and dad would take me out to the park. We'd play. We'd make all these little obstacle courses. First you gotta go down the slide, then you gotta run through the sand, and then you gotta sprint around the track. So we were doing all sorts of crazy things that kids were doing in those days. And then in addition to that, I was able to pursue just activities, extracurricular activities. My mom and dad set me up with swimming lessons. And, there were some activities that we would go above and beyond. So after school, commitments, I was able to participate in some basketball in elementary school, volleyball, some of the school sports. I did a little wrestling in high school. Oh, wow. Which was fun. Yeah, track and field. All right. So these are the activities that kind of nurtured the discipline. And shortly thereafter, university time came around, and I didn't have the schedule that could accommodate these extracurricular activities. So I recognized the gym was right there. It was attached, thankfully, to the building that I was taking my lectures at. So I went into what was a gym routine that would support going to my classes, getting my meals in between, and getting a chance to do a physical body workout. I've always been inspired by legs for some reason. Legs legs that could do things, performing, legs is a body part. Yeah. So it was figure skating. I was always just wow, look at the spins and, you know, all the acrobatics.
Yeah.
And then gymnastics on the Olympics. I would watch gymnastics all the time. I think I watched a couple of physique competitions with my dad as well on the couch. He showed me, you know, all the well-developed physiques, and I kind of didn't really understand what was happening, but I was watching it.
Right.
You know? And my dad was really into soccer when I was a kid, so, and sports and hockey. So I just kind of like witnessed all of these like powerful legs for some reason. I don't know why. That's and so I really did pursue that. That was the start of all of my fitness in the gym.
Okay.
It was, I wanted these like really sculpted legs. I wanted the hamstrings to be like, you know, boom, bam, boom.
Yep.
I wanted like, whoop, hamstring, that.
Yeah.
So that really kicked off the journey. And I think that strong legs really did represent something for me in my ability to perform in general, in my life, you know, to show up, stability, you know, the ability to have the endurance, to support, you know, all the things that I'm supporting right now, stand up on my own 2 feet, you know, all the symbolism. So yeah, pursuing the strength and the ability to perform with my legs really did ignite the movement, the physical commitment. And I've not stopped since. I've been in the gym. Leg day is a real thing. Never skip leg day. And yeah, I think my whole body's transformed.
Right.
I'm still working on the details in the legs right now. So I'm grateful for that vision that I had, because it really did change how I look at fitness, and it changed my entire physique, my whole body, transformed my shoulders. My whole upper body is a different look because I was pursuing this leg vision. So yeah, fitness has really been symbolic in how I developed as a person, because it's been a holistic life transformation. Being able to lead people in this space is not something I ever expected I would be doing. When I was in university, just trying to chisel the lower body. I wasn't thinking you're gonna help people transform their entire lives. You're gonna help people recognize their personal spiritual ability, get grounded and self-aware of the message that the universe is trying to send them. That was not at the forefront of my mind when I was looking at the gym in university.
Right.
So it really just has changed how I show up for myself, but more importantly, how I embrace my mission work. Yeah.
I love that.
Life-changing.
Yes.
Thank you.
So just stay on the topic of fitness. So how do you use fitness in your everyday life? Not just the physical, but also the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspect.
Yes. I think it roots me. It roots me in purpose. I think with the mental and the spiritual, the stimulus that I get from identifying the different movement types and the attention to detail, the technicalities of the exercises and the detailed components, that actually helps me get really attuned to the space in our mind, the focus, the level of focus that gets us aware of that spiritual guidance. You know, I think a lot of people who meditate can understand what that space is, where you just have a heightened awareness of the unspoken. Yeah. You know, the undertones, being in alignment with the universal energy. I believe that managing movement consistently, like every day for me, every day that I manage that time to move and to pay attention to my body, I can receive the message, that I'm meant to receive for the day through that movement. And it's because I'm increasing my awareness, my focus on several details at the same time. It's almost simultaneous. And I think that overstimulus just it supports your mind to focus on one thing, you know? And I think I was talking to someone who, in the space of neurodivergence and sort of example of like ADHD or some type of neurological, functions that are varied. Yeah. I believe that overstimulus does support in quieting the mind, getting to a place where you could be like, you can hear a pin drop because there's so much potential chaos. I guess chaos would be a loose term, not necessarily chaos the way that we think everything's going crazy, but just so much going on that it refines your focus. I was reading about the different levels of focus. There's theta and delta, these high levels of focus that help us become very clairvoyant. And so I think what's happening for me is that I'm getting to that space, and it's awakening this knowing, this higher level of knowing, such that when I get through with my workout, my mind is focused. My spirituality is deepened. The connection is strong, and it supports with pretty much everything I have to do after that workout. It's the reason why I try to do the workout first thing in the morning, actually, because there's a heightened connection during that time. And really, as soon as I'm done, I'm alert. My antenna are up, and I'm ready to take on whatever the day has in store.
Right. No, I definitely agree. I worked out before in the morning, and even though I'm not a morning person, I definitely would agree that like working out, it just gets your day going. It gives you that boost of energy, and it does give you that focus. So I definitely agree. And I love that how, like you said, it puts you on another level spiritually and like just being more focused and more in tune, which is great. So what advice can you give to someone who's interested in following a similar path as yours in creating a brand for themselves and their business?
Yes, I think in terms of advice, I almost want to recognize maybe what the younger version of myself may have needed to hear at that time of curiosity. I would say identify your strengths. Like early on, just go ahead and make a list of all the things that you know in your heart you're really good at, and then identify which one of those things you want to keep doing. And my own personal business coach supported me with asking me that recently, because I again, recognizing I needed to outsource, it was a really big factor in the learning curve. So it's identify your strengths. Pick out the things out of those things that you like, what you want to keep doing. And if you're a creative, it could be an activity, it could be maybe you like painting and singing, you're good at dance, but it's not your favorite thing to do. Pick those things out and then pursue them at a high level, because what that's going to do is it's going to give you a creative outlet that's going to keep you sane. It's going to keep you sane in your mind and balanced. And that's going to support you with being able to refine your business. You're going to get a business coach, of course. You're going to get, all the learning, the education. Right. But if your cup is full, you'll be able to give more of the energy that you need to all the other things you're being asked for.
I love that. And so one more question. Can you share a closing message on how you stay motivated in your work and any next projects that you have coming up, and then where listeners can find you?
Yeah. Okay. So, I stay motivated by always doing the things that make me happy. I think that it sounds cliche, like do what makes you happy, but really, I think a big part of staying motivated is feeling good, and I'm not down on myself because I'm doing the things that make me feel good. And a big part of that is helping people. So thankfully, my work does help people. So after a good day of work, I'm motivated to keep going, and that's fulfilling. I would say that some more projects coming up would be potentially some more speaking opportunities. I was thinking about doing a podcast a while ago, and I recognized in addition to being heard, I think I need to be seen. I think the animation is very alive and kicking, and I probably need to pay attention to that. So being in front of the camera and on the mic is about to happen. I'll tell you the details coming soon. But for sure, they're going to go hand in hand somehow. And I can be reached right now on Instagram. I'm looking at opening up a landing page, but in the meantime, Instagram, Nicole Hosang Fitness. All one word. NicoleHosang Fitness. And shoot me a DM, and my link is there for YouTube. All the links and all the other avenues are accessible there. So yeah, it's gonna be some fun things coming up.
And I will, when I post the episode, I will tag your page in it so people can find you too.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. So yeah, definitely, I think that just based off your energy and stuff like that, I think you would be great with the podcast. I think a lot of people would appreciate having a podcast that they can listen to where, the fact that you're combining fitness and spirituality, that's really cool. And I feel like that's not something that you hear of very often. So I definitely feel like you have something rare and that, you could definitely, go far with that. So I definitely encourage you to, start that podcast, seriously, because I feel like just from talking to you just this time, like I feel like I've learned a lot and that you have a lot to offer and your energy is very contagious. Like you could tell that you could just tell that you work out and that you're just like, high energy, it's really good. So I definitely will look out for that for, what your next project will be. And definitely thank you for, taking the time today to be a guest on the Black Hippie Lounge. I know you said that was your kind of closing message, but I don't know if you had anything else, like any questions for me that you wanted to.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would love to. This experience for me is such an honor. I'm so grateful for you having me on your show, the Black Hippie Lounge. I love the name that you came up with, by the way.
Thank you.
Can I ask you, how did you come up with that name? Because it's very attractive to me. I was like, yes, this is a space that I'm ready to embrace with you. So tell me more about that.
Sure. So it's funny. So I was listening to podcasts myself, and that's when I kind of came up with the idea to start a podcast of my own. I was thinking of like what kind of name I wanted. I thought about myself, like, who am I? I figured I consider myself somewhat of a hippie. So, I was just like, and then I was thinking, okay, the mood that I want when people listen, it's like a lounge, like just, relax listening to what these people have to say. So that's kind of how it came to my head. I was just like, okay, Black Hippie Lounge. Like I like the sound of it, and I felt like it described me as a person and what type of environment that I wanted to have for my podcast. So that's just kind of how I came about. And so I've been doing it for almost 2 years now.
Wow.
And so, just being able to this year just speak to people from all over, like the fact that I'm speaking to you in Canada, like that's something that I would never thought I would have done. So I definitely, like kind of like you said, like I feel like the universe will, introduce you to things and push you into to try new things. So, that's how I'm here now. So definitely thank you for, joining me today. I don't want this thing to kick us off. So meditate, manifest, invest in you. Join me on my spiritual journey as I elevate myself and like-minded listeners to a higher level, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for listening. This is Black Hippie Lounge, and I am your host, Chanel. So I just wanted to add a quick message after doing the interview with Nicole Hosang. First of all, thank you, Nicole, for joining us, for joining, the Black Hippie Lounge and listeners and giving us some insightful information. I definitely feel like I learned a lot from you today from speaking with you, and hopefully listeners will learn something as well. Definitely go and follow her on her social media, which I will post on Instagram when I post for the episode. That is going to be released today. And just, quick little thing I wanted to say was to just pay attention to the different messages that Nicole provided and the advice that she provided, especially as far as some things that I wrote down. Was she was saying showing up for yourself and discovering your authentic style of expression and what that means for you. And, once you are in tune with who you are, then you can show up as your authentic self, and what you need to be doing and what your purpose is. And once you have that in your mind, then like she said, you can wake up every day happy and ready to go and know, because you know what you're doing, it makes you happy and you're living in your purpose. So I really appreciate Nicole coming on and sharing that information and her journey, and I hope that listeners really enjoyed the conversation and that you learned a lot of the information and gems that she dropped. And thank you again to Nicole for being a guest all the way from Canada, which is pretty cool. So, and we will definitely collaborate again. So, just wanted to share that little message just because I did get cut off with the recording. But as usual, thank you again for listening to the Black Hippie Lounge. I'm your host, Chanel, and meditate, manifest, invest in you. Hope you guys have a great week, and share and repost the episode, as well as you can leave comments and follow Nicole. So thank you.